Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rudy's Kitchen Express. Today we're making seafood risotto. Now for our seafood, you can use any kind you want. Today we're using two types of shrimp, a Pacific white and a black tiger. As well, we're using some scallops. Now I've cut the shrimp into about the same size as the scallops. That will help it cook much easier. We're using superfino risotto. It's Italian, imported from Italy, and you really need to use this type of a rice for this dish because it's packed with starch. And as the cooking process goes through, the starch is released, and that's what you need for that creamy flavor. We've got 2 liters of chicken stock, and we're using about 2 cups of the rice, and for every cup of rice, plan on about 4 cups of broth. We have butter. Everything's better with butter. Garlic, onion, parsley, some grape tomatoes, mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are kind of a little controversial because a lot of times people wouldn't put mushrooms in a seafood risotto. We like the combination of the mushrooms in there, but it's whatever you like. You can put in almost anything into a risotto. Now we've got 2 ribs of celery, green onion. Of course, you've got your salt and pepper and olive oil. So some white wine, a little vodka, and we're going to flambe that shrimp. I love doing it. It's a fun part of the process, and we'll see that in a moment. And that's it. Hello everyone. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe and ring that bell and you'll get notified of another future video. We want to prepare our shellfish in advance. I've got about a little more than 1.5 cups of mussels. And we've got 2 kinds of shrimp, some black tiger shrimp and some Pacific white shrimp. And in order to be able to cook this evenly, we're going to cut this in the same size of the mussels so that it all cooks at the same pace. Get some beautiful shellfish. When preparing risotto, it's good to have everything all ready. It's called in French mise en place. That way, you're not fumbling around looking for your ingredients. Everything is there, and it comes together all in the same time, and you can concentrate on cooking your rice just to that al dente. Now, don't do risotto if you're in a big hurry. It takes time to make risotto. You have to figure it's not just a matter of throwing some rice into some water and boiling it for 20 minutes and it's done. Risotto, it takes time. You have to you spoon on the broth 1 ladle at a time. Do it if you've got, a good, say 15 minutes for prep time and another half hour to 40 minutes to cook it. These are cremini mushrooms, very fresh. Using green onions, addition to using the regular yellow onions, because when we cook the seafood, we're going to want a little color in it. Now, another thing you can do instead of green onions is use peas. That's a very common ingredient in risotto, but we want to spice up that risotto a little bit because of the seafood, so a little extra onion is going to do that trick. Okay, let's start with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So, starting that base of flavor with about a cup of onion, a cup of mushrooms, about a half a cup of celery. Cracked black pepper, salt to taste, and we're going to taste this at the end to see if it needs a little bit more salt and pepper. Add in, that's about a tablespoon of butter. So now here's our risotto. So all the liquid we just put in between the butter and the olive oil, it's going to get absorbed by this rice. And it's probably one of the more critical stages in the cooking process is to get this rice started to absorb those flavors and to not toast, but start to get a little golden. Now you want to use a big enough pot and one that's wide so that there's more contact with the rice to the base of the heat, rather than using a tall skinny pot. So we have our chicken stock right there. It's warm. Always use a warm liquid, even if it's fish stock that you make or whatever. If you're putting cold into hot, you're bringing down the temperature. So you want to make it sure that it's hot broth that you're putting in. So you can see the risotto is starting to glisten. That's it, really absorbing all the liquids in that pan. Okay, so now it's absorbed all the liquid. The next step is to add the wine, and so that it'll layer in that flavor of the wine into it as well. Some people add this at the end. I add it at this stage. So the rice is absorbing all that wine, adding a layer of flavor. The vegetables that we added have started to wilt down and get soft. Let that just soften for a little bit more. You want the rice always to be looking for water, or looking for the liquid. And that way, instead of flooding it all at once, we're going to be having it at the level where it wants to ask for the liquid. About a ladle and a half of our chicken stock. And this is what you'll do. Now you're starting to see even the liquid turn white. That's the rice releasing its starch, the beginning of it making it into a creamy base. Okay, I've got this pan on about a medium-high heat, and it's warmed up. So we're going to add the seafood. We're going to cook the seafood separate from the risotto, and then we'll add them together at the end. Okay. Black pepper. Salt. Again to taste, and again we're going to taste it at the end. So I'd rather go a little undersalted than oversalted. You can't take it away. This is ready for some more. Ladle and a half. Some people cook the seafood in the risotto. I don't, because this does not take as long as this to cook. So if you cook seafood for half an hour, 40 minutes, this has already been cooking for 20 minutes. You're not going to have much seafood left. So to this we're going to add about half a cup of green onion. Just like 4 or 5 cherry tomatoes. I'm not going to add the garlic yet. I'm going to add the garlic a little bit more to the end. Overdone garlic can be very powerful, and you want the seafood to be the star, not the garlic. So we're going to add it towards the end. See, that's cooking up really nice. So the total cooking time for this part is about 10 minutes. You can see the starch releasing in our risotto. We're not quite done yet. It needs to be a lot creamier than that, but it's getting close. Okay, let's taste for seasoning. I think a little bit more salt. Okay, I'm going to add the garlic to this. Always use good wine for your risotto, so you get to have a glass for yourself. So rice, arborio rice like this will cook to about 3 times its original size. You can see this is getting very close to being done. And you want a nice high pan so you don't worry about it, the risotto going over. Some vodka. Okay. Burning off the alcohol. Heating up that to a nice crispiness. Okay, at this point, we're going to add in the seafood into the risotto. It'll finish cooking. Stir it in. Now you see we still have a little bit of broth left, but that's because there was some liquid in the risotto. Otherwise it would have been, there was liquid in the seafood, otherwise it would have used the full 2 liters of chicken stock. Okay, our risotto is done. I've turned off the fire. We're adding in some parsley at the end. Now this is where there's been an argument for generations about cheese and seafood. So risotto normally would add Parmesan Reggiano at the end, melt it in to make it even extra creamy. But people who make seafood risotto say, oh no, you can't do that. You can't put cheese in seafood. Listen, it's risotto. It's whatever you like. If you want cheese, add cheese. If you want no cheese, don't add cheese. It's whatever you and your family like the most. So now we're going to take this to the table. Okay, now Jake and Maggie, Nono made you your favorite risotto. What do we say before we eat it? Buon appetito!